Welcome to TMZ Live. Harvey Levin here.
Charles here.
So, allegations this morning in the Diddy trial of dirty pool on the part of prosecutors for trying to poison the jury.
So dirty, according to Diddy's defense, that they demanded a mistrial in this whole case, which, as you can imagine, caused quite an uproar in court and a lot of arguing about this. It all has to do with Kid Cudi's car and the fire that was set off in his Porsche. The investigation into all of this.
So what happened here is that you know that there was testimony about a burglary at Kid Cudi's house.
About the month before the fire.
Right. And that that Diddy and an assistant had basically broken into Cudi's house, found a gift that Cudi was gonna give Cassie. And there's evidence that Diddy was there. Cudi took a fingerprint from...
The investigators did.
Well, Cudi gave the fingerprint to the investigator.
Right.
It was a fingerprint that was on the door, and it was of an unknown woman, but they had a fingerprint. What the prosecution tried to do was insinuate that they could take that fingerprint and tie it to a fingerprint on the arson attack on the Porsche. Well, guess what? Cudi's fingerprint that he took off that door was gone.
Was destroyed.
Gone.
At some point, that after it was in police custody, that was destroyed. And when the prosecution raised that during the testimony from an arson investigator, the defense said, hold on a second. It's like the scene is, wait, you're out of order. This whole court's out of order. They were very upset and felt that this was grounds for a mistrial because they had, what they felt is the prosecutors were insinuating Diddy somehow had something to do with the destruction.
Which is sort of like losing the Cassie video in 2016 at the Intercontinental.
Yes. Yes.
There's two big issues with presenting this kind of testimony to the jury. One, they might think you're trying to draw a connection where you have none. You have one set of fingerprints and you're testifying about another set of fingerprints that you can't actually connect. The other problem is this had only happened around 8 months before that evidence was destroyed, so it plants the seed, according to Diddy's defense team, that Diddy was somehow behind the destruction of evidence, maybe paid off an LAPD official. And you remember during the jury selection process, a lot of people said that they thought Diddy was a rich and powerful person who can make things go away.
Yeah, and the defense is saying the prosecution is playing into that conspiracy theory that maybe is already out there in the jury pool.
Yeah, but there's no evidence that Diddy paid anybody off or anything.
No,
which is their point.
Make them sort of prejudice against Diddy, just the mere thought in front of them. It's hard to unring the bell.
It seems like a small, insignificant thing that the defense is saying.
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's insignificant.
No, because clearly people think that. I mean,
the
there's
rule for the prosecution in this is like a nothing thing.
Yeah, well, you're right that the judge just said, "Hey, jurors, don't listen to that testimony." Struck the testimony, but didn't declare a mistrial.
Let's hold on. Get real for a second. What the prosecution is saying or insinuating, according to the defense, is Diddy knew those fingerprints were going to incriminate him via some associate and connect him to the arson and then the burglary.
And by the way, there was also testimony from an LAPD officer that the car, they had a photo and they saw the car that was, or an SUV that was parked in front of the house led back to, it was owned by Bad Boy. So again,
but that's at least hard evidence. But the insinuation is that Diddy destroyed the fingerprint because it incriminated him in the arson and connected him to the burglary.
I have a very important question.
It's an
I have a very important question.
There's reasonable doubt here.
It is an insinuation, but here's my question. Did the LAPD officer offer any explanation why evidence from an investigation that was less than a year old, that was at that point
was
7, 8
destroyed?
months, why was it destroyed? And I'm not insinuating anything, but if I'm on the jury, I want to know why was it destroyed?
Well, let me tell you, they watch CS.
Point, though, Charles. It's a great point, because why was evidence that's so fresh destroyed? This isn't a cold case from 25 years ago where you're clearing out the decks for new evidence coming in. This is a very fresh case.
Why was it destroyed?
Yeah, the arson investigator who mentioned that they were destroyed, he said it was strange that they were. He would have needed to sign off on something like that, and somebody went around him and did this.
So when was it? What year? This is important. What year was it destroyed? And what year was the? And what year? And what year? And what year was the arson?
The arson was January.
In January of 2012, and the burglary was December of 2011. So
Okay,
about 8 months.
So here's the thing, and people in the jury watched CSI. The statute of limitations had not run.
This is very true.
The statute of limitations had not run. Why would they destroy evidence when it's still a live case that can be prosecuted if they get more evidence, especially when it involves a celebrity as big as Diddy? Why would something that critical
Why do
be
I
destroyed?
feel like, as you're speaking right now, you are making the defense's case for a mistrial?
I'm saying that it's powerful.
Yeah, it is very powerful. I don't.
So who destroyed it and why?
Well, by the way, the bottom line here is the judge refused to declare a mistrial. There was no mistrial, but the judge did do something that I always think is interesting in a trial. The judge said that the jury gave them instructions they cannot consider any of the testimony about the fingerprints, either at the burglary or at the fire.
That's the biggest crock of all.
So so the jury is going to act like they.
The biggest crock of all trials is telling the jury, don't listen to something you just heard, and, but disremember it, expunge it from your brain. It's not practical, but it's something the judge has to do.
Plus, the defense made such a big stink about it that you got to think, oh, why are they raising this?
Exactly, it makes it even
worse.
worse.
Something must have happened. They got rattled.
People's brains are not like an Etch-a-Sketch. And the reality here is that on appeal, this could come up because, look, look, I think it is interesting. Why was it destroyed? Because, look, a lot of people are going to say that Diddy also destroyed the original video at the Intercontinental Hotel in 2016. So if he's capable of doing that, did he destroy the fingerprint, or did he pay somebody off, to destroy the fingerprint in 2011 or 12? And, look, there's no proof that happened, but how the jury
not to
how does the
make
jury
that
not
leap?
That's right.
How do you
that
bring
is
it up
right.
on appeal if you don't know what the answer is?
No, you bring up the prejudice to their client.
Yeah,
what
that's
you do is
exactly
you
right.
preserved it for appeal, and you say, the judge overruled me, didn't declare a mistrial, that was an error, and now they have a grounds for appeal. I'd be interested to see if he loses and gets convicted, what they do with this.
I'm Brooke. I'm from the UK. I think the defense team is just scrambling. I think it's clearly obvious, Diddy is a powerful man. It's within his power to get these things done behind the scenes. People have known about him for years. There's been rumors for years. I'm not even in the country, and I've known there's rumors about this man for years. I think he's clearly guilty. We've seen it. The public knows it. Let's just get justice done and get justice for these women, please.
Well, there's something called a trial, right? And you kind of want to go through the trial
Skip all
before
that.
you
Guilty.
Yeah, you don't want to skip over the trial part.
That's not how it works in this country, or even in yours.
We have sort of trial-related news.
Yes. Good news for Cassie. We broke the story yesterday that she was in a hospital in the labor unit, and what's supposed to happen in a labor unit happened. She had the baby, her third child, with Alex Fine, and the baby was born sometime Tuesday afternoon, late Tuesday afternoon. And we're told that although the baby arrived slightly early, maybe like within days, mom and child are doing just fine. We do not know the gender yet.
Do not know the gender.
She was the star witness in this Diddy case just a couple weeks ago, and even a judge had noticed that she was ready to pop, and he noted that they were going to limit her testimony because they were concerned she was going to be giving birth any day. So at least baby is here, baby is healthy, and all is well.
Okay, we are going to move on.